The seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Yes, here we go. Thursday night 4 on the T.N.F. Welcome aboard the Bhoycie bus. And it's going to be a busy one tonight. It always seems to be a busy one these days. The bus is on fire. Welcome aboard Marc Cairney as well. How the devil are you, my man?
I'm doing brilliant, mate. Yourself, how are you? How's things with you, mate?
I'm very well, mate. I'm very well. It's been record-breaking weeks on the bus, Mark, as we've been discussing in the chat and that. And I can't thank you all enough for the amount of time and effort you go to watch the bus, or jump on the bus, I should say. It's fucking quality, man. I love it. We did 23,900 views in the last 7 days. That is insane. Like, we normally do about that in a month. Well, a wee bit more than that in a month, but not many more. So, appreciate it all from... So, I just thought I'd get all that out the road. I didn't like being all like, fucking, thanks, guys, and all that shit. I like to get on with doing the job in hand, but, you know, you've got to show your appreciation, Mark, sometimes.
Aye.
That's
excellent viewing figures, mate. It's been a busy week for Celtic. It's been probably been a busy couple of weeks for Celtic, to be honest, but I think it's just kept me ahead the last maybe 4 or 5 days. That's really exciting times for the Celtic. We're scoring 9 goals 1 week, 4 goals against Rangers on this weekend, playing against Real Madrid. I mean, this is fairy tale stuff for Celtic fans. So long may it continue.
You're absolutely spot on. Long may it continue, indeed. I mean, it's been a mad time, and we're going to be talking about, you know, how crazy and how quickly things can change, Mark. When you're a Celtic fan, and God knows how they feel at the club, you know what I mean? It's just absolutely mad. But you know, before we do that, we've got a few of the normal stuff to get through. So we're going to bring up I'm just trying to find the photo of the now. But we've got a wee partnership going with Hoops Raffles. They're our new pals, Mark. They're our new pals, mate. And
quality stuff, mate. It's quality. I was going to buy a few myself, but I wasn't sure if are we allowed to win it, Bhoycie?
We are allowed to win it, mate. I've got breaking news as well. So all you have to do, right? I'll take off my wee banner there that's in the road. Right, get that away. There we go. Dual framed, signed, Starfelt and Cameron Carter Vickers. All you need to do is pick a team in the football card, drop them a DM on the Twitter page. All right, it's that simple. The Twitter page is always on the banner at the bottom of the Bhoycie bus. All you have to do, $8.50, right? for a ticket, or pick a team as it were, drop my message, put in the Bhoycie bus in the message, and get 10% off as well. There you go, Mark. That's teamwork making the dream work. So Hoops Raffles, this is only one of loads of good prizes. There was a Kyogo framed picture last week. I think it was Jota the week before. Now you've got a dual one. You can't go wrong. Check out their Twitter page. It is there, and we'll be back in the Hoops Raffles all season long. Obviously, if you've hit the like button, if you've hit subscribe, thank you very much. If you've not, why not? I'm only kidding. I'm not that thing, mate. If you want to become a Bhoycie Bus member, like so many of you have, by all means, you can do that as well. I'm looking quite red in the face. I don't know if it's this light. There was a big spider as well earlier. I was shouting. I
don't blame you, mate.
I'm not good with them,
I
man.
hate them. Oh, I hate them.
Not good with them at all. But anyway, it's good to talk some Celtic, and we're going to have a wee bit of a laugh here, Mark, right? Because sometimes you need to take stock. We do that many bus trips these days. There's always a hot talking point to discuss. But I'm talking about, we've been really busy the last couple of weeks, and thanks, guys, and all that. See, to be fair, no wonder we've been busy. Try and get your head around all of this, Matt. I know you can't read it, so I'll read it out. Champions League draw. 2 more internationals signed for the club on, one on deadline day, one the day before or 2 days before, whatever it was. Beat Rangers. Well, pump Rangers, let's be honest. We were a record away win, 9-0. We go 5 points clear at the top of the league. We go toe-to-toe with the European champions for 40, 45 minutes. And we have a manager linked with a move to Brighton. All in the space of 2 weeks. I mean, when you try and get your head around it as a Celtic fan, we should be used to, how mad it is in this world. But I still, when I see stuff like that, like when I was typing it out, that way I was going, has that all just been in the last 2 weeks? Mark,
it does that to you.
We put ourselves through the ringer, don't we?
We certainly do, mate. That's why we're all fucking getting old before our times, mate. I mean, grey hairs. Oh, fuck it. Bhoycie, mate, I feel like I'm aging by the week, man. Well, obviously I'm old, but I'm getting a lot older than 1 week at a time, I can assure you. But see, because there's so much happening, we're not sweating the small stuff. You know what I mean? Like, even like a 9-0 win, normally you'd be out of that for about 2 or 3 weeks. You'd be watching highlights of it. You'd be excited by watching it back and reading what people are saying about it. But no, it's like 3 days later and it's on to our next landmark. It's what Ange said here. What's the players saying about training? The big match coming up. I mean, even the derby match, Bhoycie, I didn't even get a chance to actually digest that. And I think about the Real Madrid game. You know what I mean? It's like, don't get me wrong, it's played into our horns a wee bit, because even dropping a bad result in any of the matches would have been quickly forgotten about by so much happening. And I think that might be the case for it would have been the case for Rangers. I think they kind of get away with the pre-match the post-match for us. The fact they had a big match on Wednesday, because they have turned their attention straight away. I know the media did, but it'll be the same, Bhoycie. You know what I mean? Like, the 9-0 game, I mean, that'll probably be one that you think about in 5-10 years' time, where somebody will bring up in conversation about our biggest away win. I mean, so many things that we are seeing just now, landmark events in our club's history have all happened in the last 5 years, Bhoycie. Quadruple trebles. They're going to speak about that in 100 years' time when I'm long gone. They're going to be speaking about unbeaten league titles under Rodgers in 100 years' time. Beating 9-0 away from home, that's going to be spoken about for decades. And listen, it may not be the last big one, because Hampden and the Sun 7-1 was in the 50s. Maybe I just get his eye on breaking our record this season.
You never know, mate. You never know.
Mate.
How interesting though is it? See, when you think about that though, Hampden and the Sun, Celtic 7, Rangers 1, and you're going, that is how long, it can take to sort of achieve these sort of records. 9-0 away to Dundee United. You're right. When has the opportunity been to go, can we all just take a step back here and go, we've just went away from home and got our club record away win. And I promise you, and I think this is kudos to the team, this has kind of almost been water off a duck's back. Amazing. Scintillating. But we're all now of this mindset, we never stop as well. It's all it's working. It's a two-way street now. And by the way, that's the beauty of what Celtic's creating right now. But it is an interesting point. And just trying to take stock of it all. So we'll go through them for a wee bit of a laugh, Mark. So the Champions League draw that was made was the draw many fans wanted in terms of the Real Madrid, but the competitive edge in it. I think we got the perfect draw, didn't we?
Oh, absolutely, mate. We've got the glamour of Real Madrid. I think every Celtic fan wants to see Real Madrid, boys. I think we've all been a wee bit disappointed if they go to Barcelona or a Liverpool or something like that. We've seen it. None of us want it. We go to the big key, I'd say the most important club in world football with Real Madrid. In my opinion, they're the pinnacle of football. I don't like some of their fans and all the rest of it, but that's a different story. But also the two teams that we get drawn along, they're no impossible. I think Shakhtar Donetsk probably showed us, Bhoycie, that they might be a team that is shooting for second. Who knows? But Celtic aren't going to be there just to be swatted aside. I think Real Madrid were surprised with how good we were. But for some
we were a wee bit
nervous finance. Well, I wasn't surprised at the level of intensity. But what I was surprised at was just how cocky we were on the ball. I mean, Jota was running to their defenders. Callum McGregor's stats were fucking crazy. How good his stats were. Juranovic, who I thought was a bit iffy, his stats were outstanding. Just shows you what I know. But we were just confident, Bhoycie. I think we just tried. Maybe the second half kind of showed you that we maybe tried too hard in the first half. But do you know something? See, in a normal day, in a normal weekend, Abada scoring 2 goals. Callum McGregor's shot goes in off the post. And Daisen Maeda doesn't miss that absolutely fucking glorious chance. So, I mean, we weren't that far away. And I don't think it was a 3-0 match. I don't think anybody watching that match would have said Celtic deserved to get scalped 3-0. I think we deserved a goal. And maybe even on another night we could have got a point.
Definitely. And I think that's what it is, though. Because the one thing about this group was we wanted the glamour, right? We wanted to play Real Madrid, really. I think we all did. Never been done in my lifetime, not in yours. And it was like, fucking hell, we've got them. Then you get them, and we discussed at length on the bus about don't turn it into, oh, we're just happy to be there and respect and admire Luka Modric strolling about. I thought Celtic took the game to Real Madrid. I thought they asked questions of them. That's what I really wanted. And albeit for a couple of small margins, but that's what it comes down to at this level of football, by the way. It's not an excuse. It is what it is. But we've seen signs that no matter what happened between Leipzig and Shakhtar, and let's be honest, Mark, no one expected to see the scoreline they did in that fixture. 4-1 away tells you a lot about Shakhtar and maybe tells you a wee bit something about a vulnerability in a Leipzig side we thought probably more than likely would be the one we were competing for that second spot with, as opposed to Shakhtar, who we thought depleted, only one Brazilian left, the rest are all Ukrainian. Well, it doesn't seem to be doing them any harm by going to Germany and winning 4-1. But I also think it blows the group wide open, and it makes you think the 3 teams that could all take points off each other is that let's take the most points. Let's take the most points out of those 3. So what we've got is the glamour of Real Madrid and the competitiveness of the other 2 teams. And I think Celtic will be extremely competitive. And Celtic should be competitive in the Champions League, Matt. This shouldn't be a burning ambition of mine. This already should be the norm. But we are where we are. Now we've seen it for that first half. Let's take that performance into the next games. But a lot to be encouraged about with regards to the Champions League group draw. And obviously the first display, albeit the second half, we were just second best. I still took the positives from that, which is unlike me when we get beat. I like to tend to be quite honest about it, but and if you need to be critical, be critical. I'm not one to sugarcoat everything, but I liked Ange being frustrated. You know that? That really, really intrigued me because I thought, fucking right, he is not here to go, oh, I can't ask any more of the players. Can't ask them to do any more. Weren't they just wonderful? He's out there going, you get chances at this level, you're going to need to take them. That's why we play like that, We know who we're playing against. You've got to take. I think he was frustrated. I think he probably went into half time and went to get them to those energy levels again in the second half would probably have taken the stimulant mark of a goal. Do you know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is, he's probably reflecting now and going, Right, I've now watched Leipzig against Shakhtar, which I've no doubt he's probably already watched. And I think he'll probably think, okay, we've got a chance here. So what he's also done since that Champions League draw, Mark, is bring in 2 international players. One we've not had the pleasure of seeing yet, but I seen he was on, I think it was Hill 67, one of their agent, his agent, or not his agent, a journalist for over there or something. I just seen the headline, but it was saying that he was apparently one of the most important cogs in the Ruben Kazan side. He comes a bit of profile, regular in the Denmark squad, 26 years old and a different type of player. And of course, what we're seeing, a very interesting looking player in Haksabanovic, the Hacksaw, as we're calling him on the bus.
Yeah.
He looks someone cut from a different cloth altogether. There's bravado in him. There's a bit of chaos in him. There's a bit of ability in him as well. Let's talk about those 2 signings and just what it means to strengthen your side from a position of strength. And, we can see, we'll talk about it maybe a wee bit later. But the team that got, humbled 4-0 twice in the past week didn't strengthen from a position of strength. Celtic did. Celtic started the season very well. And then right up to the wire, they built the squad well in the window. But right up to the wire, got 2 more internationals in. That's going to really help this squad when you think of how draining, Mark, that fixture against Real Madrid was. That shows you why the squad being bigger is so important for us. 2 more internationals in the door is huge. And again, have we kind of just to that as well because there's been so much going on?
Exactly. I don't think anybody's even gave Obelgard, or whatever his name is, a second thought. Abelgard, and you look at Haksabanovic, I mean, he's played about half an hour of football for Celtic, and that guy's like a different planet. He reminded me of a stronger, muscular version of El Yunusi. He just seems to just go wide and drift in, and he just heads for goal straight away. The guy looks very exciting, and it's been that much going on that you're not even concentrating on the fact that you've got these 2 players that's come in, and I barely see their name being mentioned, even on Celtic Twitter. I mean, who are on top of everything. Nobody's even mentioned their names, and I think there's so much going on, and I think Haksabanovic, he's going to give us something a bit different. I mean, for me, it kind of opens a different door, and there's a big argument in my head, blah, 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 blah. I'm fed up talking about it, but it also gives an opportunity for Jota to be switched about and get him on the park as well. It's a different option altogether, because if you could, I mean, I'm pretty sure Jota is more comfortable on the left. He's already said that. But see if you get somebody, Jota's ability on the right, it's not a bad thing. And if this guy's going to come in on the left, I mean, and he was drifting in, and I know the game was done by the time he came on, Bhoycie. I'm not going to lie by that, but he still looked hungry, still wanted to impress. I mean, this guy, I mean, unless barring something stupid happening, this guy is going to impress the Celtic fans. I've been really excited with what I've seen them. It's went low key because as we just spoke about all the things that are happening, but it's also a testament to the work that the club's done. I mean, I was the first to criticise the club, Bhoycie, both ways. Well, I think the actual podcast itself was quick to tell the club whether we're going wrong recruitment wise, but it wasn't based on nothing, Bhoycie, because the things we were crying out for was the same things that Ange pushed the board to get in the last 2 days. So we weren't saying this blindly, Bhoycie. We wanted a CDM and a number 10 or somebody in the attacking wide areas. So if Ange Postecoglou agreed with me and you and the rest of the channel that we needed these players in, we weren't being hyperactive and criticising the club for no reason. We felt there was money available and there was space in the squad for these players.
Totally.
That's happened. And Obelgard I'm going to call
Abelgard.
Hey, Oliver looks like he's might take a few weeks to get into the team, but do something. See, looking at his profile, and I read a couple of his stats. Looking at his profile, it looks like he might be one for the Champions League. But when you see Callum McGregor playing as good as he did against Real Madrid, I don't think you budge him for that position. He's in that 6/8. Just leave him, Bhoycie. You can't push him. You can't certainly move Rio Hatate. That guy looks like he just looks like the player that we all thought he was after Rangers in February.
I think he looks better. Do you know that? I actually think
he's having Jota, Bhoycie, like that, isn't he?
He's playing
See
with
a volley
swagger.
He did a volley,
and he did that against Rangers as well.
It did. I watched that game the full 90 minutes about an hour ago there. And, I think that's the fourth time I've watched it, but the apologies but for me, I watched it till I got bored of it. I think me and you spoke the other day there, Bhoycie, about sometimes you watch classic games that much and you get bored of them. I'm not bored of that yet, mate.
No. Well, no, absolutely not. And these moments have to be savoured as well. See them smashing teams like Rangers, your rivals or whatever, it's a team that won the league only 13 or 15 months ago or so, and rammed it down our throat. You've got to, when you're pumping them 4-0 after maybe a sort of checkered sort of couple of years of results against them, then I think that they are there to be rewatched. And I think I just think the squad's growing, and it's only going to be helped by two guys that haven't started a game in it yet that are both fully voting internationals, 23 and 26 years old. That's called strengthening. But Mark, the 9-0 we've kind of touched on already. 5 points clear now. 5 points clear is a big gap already to have by the 8th of September. We've got to be balanced on the bus, right? And I think it's very important. This time last year, that sort of gap, I think it was maybe bigger, let's be honest. But
7 points, I think it was with them, wasn't it? Is that right?
I think, well, how many games have we played? 6.
Aye, 6.
So we
lost our first 3 out of 5, is that right?
It was 3 out of 6. 3 wins, 3 defeats. And then it got to 7 games and it was 3 wins, 1 draw, 3 defeats. Now, I don't know how many points that led us to be behind because I'm not sure what their record was. But 5 points clear, we can't start getting complacent. That's the most important thing. We've got to still be going into every fixture fully focused. I'm sure Ange will do that, but I hope the fan base as well. I hope there's no complacency that sets in. You don't want to start seeing maybe empty seats and things like that because it's, we're flying. 5 points we proved last year can be turned round at this stage, Mark. You know what I mean? We proved that. But I also think that makes us masters of our own destiny even more because I genuinely think that that's what they'll be drilled. I think it was Jota. I don't know if you've seen his interview with the BBC, mate, and he goes, "What are you talking about?" In September, he was like, "Chill." I just loved that because he was also giving the example in the interview what Celtic did the year before. So that's obviously on the player's mind, and they'll know that they could get a similar reaction from the other mob. I don't see it, to be honest. I think they're needing a miracle. We'll talk about them later, but. Having said that, they would have said the same about us this time last year. So, in fact, scrap that. It just shows you how much things can change, firstly, in football. But also, we've got the example in front of us, Mark, to not count your chickens before they've hatched, right? So, let's look at this season and go, with 5 points, let's start getting smug when it's 10, 12, 13 points. Do you know what I mean?
I'm the same, Bhoycie. I mean, I'm a very nervous Celtic fan. I mean, if we could be 5-0 up with 5 minutes to go, Bhoycie, and I'm still looking through my fingers sometimes, you know what I mean? But I think, see, because we're only in month 14, month 15 at Ange's tenure, I think there's still a new kind of nervousness amongst the support and in the large. I don't think everybody's, I think there's a few people that are cocky. A lot of folk talk cocky, but they're not really as confident as what they are. But also, see, within the club, the players, the manager, he's not at a position yet. I don't think within his head that he thinks, okay, I've sussed this league out yet. I'm just going to concentrate on the next stage of my development and for the team. I think he's still trying to, in his mind, I think he's still trying to establish Celtic as a number 1 team. And that's good because that way you're pushing the players week in, week out, day in, day out. And Celtic need that. I think Celtic have been guilty in the past. I think even the players as well of being a wee bit complacent. I heard Ange speaking the other day there, and it was quite candidly on open goal. I know you've seen it, and he was saying, like, I knew after the final game at Celtic Park in February, there's no way Rangers are coming back for this. The league's won. Now, Ange wouldn't have said that in the press if you asked him the day after that match. But see, even though he's told us that he fought that way, it didn't come across the park that way. It came across to me as if he was telling the players to step up. We've got this wee gap, 2 points ahead. We don't want to be pushed back out of this position again. And we didn't look behind his ones. As soon as we got on top of the table last season, we didn't even stumble, Bhoycie. We barely lost a goal, never mind a match. We just went through it and through it and through it. Every team was just... And this team is one of the most exciting teams I've ever seen at Celtic. But, Bhoycie, you mentioned football can change like that. And the first thing, before you even finish speaking, something reminded me. I was walking up the Celtic Way that day when I think it was Marc Cairney equalised in the last minute, and I heard the roar for the Kerridale suite. Now, the place was buzzing that day, but we took a very last minute goal to win that match, and I think that put us in a good position to go above Rangers in the derby match. Now, that just shows you the wee very, very small moments that can change history sporting wise, and can change Celtic's season. And I think, I know we're going to touch on it later on, Bhoycie, but I think this is where Saturday comes in for me. A couple of bad results for that mob puts doubt in their minds. They've got a game in Bhoycie on Saturday. These games go ahead. Steven Gerrard, I think, was saved by COVID. I think if the game goes ahead on Saturday, Bhoycie, I think there's a real possibility that Celtic could just hit third gear and just stroll into Christmas and get a healthy gap. But it doesn't mean I think the players are going to start thinking that way, because I'm quite a nervous Celtic fan, but I think it's just key to sell up for Celtic just to find their next gear, because I still think Celtic haven't even hit third gear yet. I think Celtic are cruising just now. I don't think we've imposed ourselves on every team as much as we did Dundee United. I think we sat off Rangers in the second half, but that's also, I think Dundee United game, the Celtic players came out, and even when it was going 5-6, they felt the crowd wanting the 10, so they pushed to the very last minute, Bhoycie. So the energy levels were at a very high watermark, right? So see against Rangers, seeing the game was won, the Celtic players just sat off the second half and did what they're supposed to do, just controlled the game, scored another goal, and then kept themselves energy-wise for the Real Madrid game. And I think that's where the energy levels come in handy. I think at the end of the day, the complacency, and I think Celtic this season with this team, this manager, are going to take every game for what it is. And this is where I think it's an exciting time for the Celtic fans. It's non-stop.
It is. And I mean, like we're saying as well, you know, the amount of Celtic content, if you want to call it that, we've had, Mark, you know, whether it be transfer stories, record-breaking results, smashing your nearest rivals, playing the European champions. You then get from the great, the good, the slightly ugly, you get Ange, Brighton. You fucking reading your phone going, you what? What do you mean? And then odds checker has him up as the favourite for the job. That was the first sort of bookies listed scene. I appreciate there's loads of reasons why they put managerial names on these sort of shortlists, and I think obviously there's a lot of stick his name out there. There'll be 100 fools out there who'll stick $1,000 on it, you know, and I get all that. But the fact of the matter is, there's a reason. Firstly, his name's on the list because it's credible, right? And that's where the first thing. See, when a bookie's going to put a name on a list, even if they're picking, they don't pick blindfolded, Mark. They still pick something that's on the verge of realism that people would think, oh, there could be something in that. So that tells you status is undeniably elevated over the last 12 months. Now, Brighton, let's discuss that first and foremost, and then we're going to talk about what Celtic should do. We're going to do it in two phases. Ange Postecoglou, forget about contracts and all that now, because we're going to get on to that. Let's just look at it on the footballing side of things. Ange Postecoglou's just entered group stage football in the Champions League for the first time in his whole career. The pinnacle of his career was the World Cup. The pinnacle of his club career, undoubtedly, he will say, is the Champions managing in the Champions League. And whether that be another team in the Champions League in the future, who knows? Because obviously right now we're all bought in that he's that good. But right now, Celtic in the Champions League, I think he will put on a par, just obviously below, but you know, he will hold that in his club side of his career as that great pride, the same way he held taking Australia to a World Cup internationally, albeit that one I think would obviously take a bigger trophy on the mantelpiece. But now he's in that competition. If there were to be batting eyelids from a currently sitting fourth place Brighton and Hove Albion, that have undeniably got a brilliant player trading model. I know you like that one, Blue Baron, because that's what you boys do. But they obviously do, because they sold assets at 30 million, 40 million, 50 million this summer, and yet they're riding high. They've had the best start to their ever in the Premier League that they've had so far. They've just lost a manager to Chelsea, which then leaves an interesting path, which you can see why managers would want to then follow that. Look at, for example, on a far, I mean, like from one scale to the other. But if you look at, I always think of folk like going for the Alloa job, right, in Scotland, because they thought that would get you, because of Jack Ross, both Barry Ferguson and who was the one? Jim Goodwin. They both went in there thinking that they would go, oh, that's the trajectory. You know what I mean? You go for Alloa before you know it, you'll be in the SPL. I think that's because you're allowed time. I think Peter Grant thought that as well. He was murder. But I do believe managers see paths. You see pathways and they think, oh, if you go there, you've got a chance. Now, Brighton's job became 10 times more appealing because Graham Potter left for Chelsea. Not because they're fourth in the league right now, but because chairmans with, pockets that are so big. I can't believe I just did an example of Alloa there, by the way. On reflection, that was fucking terrible. Anyway, fuck knows where that came from. I'm not even looking at the comments. In fact, I better. I wonder what they're saying about that. What? What did you just say there? In fact, no one's even mentioned it. They're letting me off with murder. Fucking hell. I just dawned on me, what was that all about? It didn't make any sense. Anyway.
I know what you meant, mate. I know what you meant.
Aye, like managerial pathways and all that, mate. But fucking Alloa, fuck me. But I do think the Brighton jobs went from this level of candidate to that level of candidate's interest. And the reason for that, Mark, is because a Brighton manager went to Chelsea. Okay. That piques people's interest. That piques people's interest. 5-year deal as well. 5-year deal he's been given. So that's him secured. I'm sure he got paid plenty at Brighton and at Swansea, money we'll never make. However, a 5-year deal at Chelsea as their head coach, I don't even want to speculate what that's worth, Mark. I would guess something upwards of £20 million to Graham Potter. So,
minimum Bhoycie, you're right, mate. And so it does, as you say. I mean, if you're trying to hire a manager and you could say to him, look, the last guy who sat in your chair just got a £30 million contract at Chelsea. You want to come, and that does. You can go to Serie A and say to a 7th, 8th place team and say, okay, you're languishing there. You're never going to be AC Milan. You're never going to get a big UV job because they want the top manager's job. Come to England, do well with us. There's case in point. Our last manager just went to the European Championship 2 years ago, owing life-changing money. I'm pretty sure, as you said, he's already a millionaire. I'm pretty convinced any of that. But Bhoycie, I mean, this is the only thing I think, because it's so early in this this Ange takeover process. I think that's probably a plus for Celtic, that he thinks he's still got a job to do. I don't think it's the job that would tickle his interest, but see the fact that his name's linked is I probably, if I see a Simon Jordan or something like that speaking about it, then I'll be more nervous about it. I mean, I remember Simon Cowell was 500 to 1 to be the Prime Minister of Britain a few years ago. So I take some of these betting odds with a pinch of salt. But I mean, no. But anyway, no. I did get your point, Bhoycie. This has opened up so many doors for Brighton and Hove Albion. They can speak to a manager and say, look, we in the Premier League are a shop window for anybody. But what we've proven is, there used to be a case of you went to Brighton, then Aston Villa, and then maybe
that's
a top 5
so
team.
True. That there'd be a ladder.
Brighton to, but I think I still don't think. I know Rodgers came to Celtic to build Celtic up, but also build up his profile again. I still don't think Celtic are at a place in the football standings yet where we will have a manager that will go from Celtic Park to Stamford Bridge or Celtic Park. I think it would have to be an exceptionally elite manager who just fell through the cracks. He'd won a European trophy. He just looked like a different kettle of fish altogether. Just because, I mean, Van Dijk, I know it's similar to what I'm talking about here. Van Dijk, I don't think Van Dijk goes from Celtic to first choice centre back at Liverpool either, Bhoycie. You know, I mean, I know he's a better player, but so for Brighton to go for, they must have really did their homework on this guy and trusted him. But see, if we're honest with you, Bhoycie, see in England, so many managers come and go after 10 months and they get fun out. So I think that's another thing for Ange. He'll look at that and say, it only takes one bad move in England and you're out and you're ostracised. I think he's got a job at Celtic, and I think Brighton wouldn't be the club for him. I think one that would worry me is if our old pal Gerrard gets the sack. I don't think Aston Villa's one that you sniff it. I mean, it's a big job in England.
Former European champions as well.
Yeah, mate. And let's be honest, boys, they can command 40,000 at a match. It doesn't have to be good into Brighton, where they could go to the shops and nobody recognise them. This is a big club. I'm not suggesting that's what's going to happen, but I'm saying
no.
That would worry me a wee bit, boys.
Blether, mate. It's good. This is why you're on a show called the Sunday Blether, Mark, because that's a bit of blethering. It is though, and you go, well, yeah, you're right. That type of club, mate. I personally am of the camp that Postecoglou would look at Brighton and go, yeah, you're fourth right now, 6 games in, mate. But as you know, and as Ange has already told us, you know, you judge league tables pretty quickly over here, don't you? You're like, you'll not be fourth in fucking come the end of the season. You know, the optics maybe look very attractive, Brighton, but aye. So I've got a feeling that Ange is 100% would be on Brighton's radar. I believe that, right? Because I think he's causing a stir already. And I think he did have what was unknown to our ignorant eyes and ears, Mark, already a bit of a reputation in the coaching circles, you know, City Group connections, etc. As I've always said, people talk, Mark. Folk always forget that. Folk in football talk. So see, it only takes one person in City Group to be chatting to his mate who's the managing director, the sporting director at, I don't know, fucking Nottingham Forest. Do you know what I mean? And going, aye, there's a boy causing waves over there that, you know, they've got their eye firmly on and he's highly rated, like he used to manage Australia. And then they're saying it to each other. So I reckon his stock was maybe in the coaching circle a lot higher than certainly I thought, and many others knew of, because in Scotland we're all tunnel vision, mate. Everyone's tunnel vision. But when it comes to a Brighton and Hove Albion, from an Ange point of view, I just think pinnacle competition of club football. You're one game into it. You've got the taste for it. You've heard the anthem. You've played the European champions. You know there's games you can win in that. I think he spins again, mate. I think it's not, that wouldn't be, even if there was an offer made, and I'm not saying there is going to be an offer made or anything, but if there was an offer made, I think Ange twists and stays at Celtic. Sticks and stays at Celtic, you know, rather than twist and go to Brighton and perhaps be on the managerial, you know, as you say, dump heap when he's then sacked or dismissed within but if he's sacked within, sorry mate, see if he was sacked within 10 months, he could end up in the managerial heap, as you were rightfully saying, Mark. And before you know it, you're then casting enviable eyes up at Celtic Park, who might have qualified for the Champions League again the following season, and thinking, what the fuck am I doing? And all I ever did was play in front of 18,000 fans at Brighton and got slaughtered.
Well, Bhoycie, I think we've seen today's paper. I'm pretty sure it was today. There was quotes coming from Eddie Howe. I think he was speaking to Alan Shearer. And I know the reasons given for no coming to Celtic was A, B and C with his coaching staff. But I don't think for a minute he's not looked up at Celtic Park, watched the fans, watched the Champions League, seen what's happening and just thought to himself, maybe I made the wrong decision. I know he's at Newcastle now, probably won $100,000 a week. So I'm pretty sure he's well financially backed. But no, I mean, I think football, we've had so many players that's left Celtic and they drop it a hat and regretted it. Possibly the only guy that's been in a position to go was Mark O'Neill and Brendan Rodgers. I don't think anybody's came and tried to take their managers before, no in my lifetime anyway. So it'll be interesting to see how the Celtic fans would take the club, like a decision to let Ange speak to a club in the future. I don't think this is a club that he would speak to. I think as you said, playing in front of 20,000 fans. Aye, all right, Bhoycie. It's Liverpool on a Saturday and Man City on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
But you know something? See, next year it's Swansea City on a Sunday, and then it's Tuesday night against fucking Crew Alexandra. All right, Inverness, Cali, and Ross County are only glamorous places to go to, but Tynecastle is, Easter Road is, Celtic Park is,
Going with
Champions League.
Celtic as well.
Aye.
You're going with Celtic.
You're Celtic.
That's the big difference.
You look at Real Madrid. I mean, they would have been very impressed with what they came up against the other day there. I mean, Real Madrid are the biggest club in the world, but they still go to clubs in Spain with 11,000 seater stadiums without a roof. You know what I mean? I mean, it still rains in Spain. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, mate.
Rain pissing down the stairs and puddles of water on the goals and all that. You know what I mean? It's not very glamorous when you see it all when it's not La Liga. So I'm pretty sure that Ange looks at and weighs everything up. Like, I heard him speaking, and he was saying he spoke to his wife. I think this time, a year and a half ago, it was, and he says that he kind of made the decision that if anything came up in Europe, now is the time to move. I don't think he woke up his first day as a Celtic manager and thought to himself, right, let's see where this gets me. I think he woke up and says, Rick, I've made it to where I want to be. If something goes better than this, fantastic. But I'm not going to be pushing for it.
I think that works two ways. I think the level of your ambition, that's always a moving, element. And I think when you go to Celtic, yes, that's that ambition I had before, but now I'm there, then his next ambition will be of a different kind. And, you always want to do that. Is that Brighton? I don't think so. But Mark, It leads us to talking about what's the most important thing in all this. And the most important thing in all this, Mark, is why we must secure Ange on a new long-term deal. This is something the bus has been pushing for a couple of weeks now. I said, get the window shut, get Ange in, Ange, and obviously he's in the building already. Get him secured. He'd be the biggest signing. He could have been the biggest signing of the window on a long-term deal. Like they did with Brendan Rodgers after one season in the rolling deal. All right, that you were as good as we thought you would be. Boom, there's a 4-year deal. I find it hard to believe Celtic didn't do that. Now, I'm very critical of Celtic as a club when they get things wrong. Praise them when they get things right. That tends to be the way I run with it. I don't get over giddy about every single thing they do because the team's winning in the park, because I've still got half a brain and I've still got a memory. But also, I'm going to give them a wee bit of respect and think there has to be half a brain cell in there, Mark, because they did do it with Brendan Rodgers. From all we've seen off the park, we can't deny the last 12 months, whether Peter Lobo's still hovering in the background or not, there has been improvements made in terms of transfer strategy and things like that. There has been more of a willingness to give the manager the say on who comes in, etc. I dare say, for example, if it had been Ivan Toney or Ajeti and Ange was at the helm, Ivan Toney would be your number 9. I think that's the difference, and that's the honest truth. So I'm going to praise that. But that then also leads me to believe they must have, Mark, asked Ange the question over the summer. It would be folly not to have said, Ange, anyway, now you're back to work and we're getting all your signings in and we're tickling your tummy, mate. How about a new deal? Because this board still require this fan base's backing, right? Because this board's still one mistake away for, I think, it turning toxic like that, because the Celtic fans right now, I feel, have swept a lot of memories, right? But they've not actually got rid of them. They're just there, mate. They're lying there, in the corner of the room, and you're dusting up, mate. They're there. They're ready to come out to play again. If the board fuck up here, or even if Ange decides he wants to go at some point, right, that'll be described as a board fuck up, because, as I've already said, people are that overly invested in Ange, they will never criticise him the same way they criticise Rodgers, right? If he were to leave to a Leicester City, for example. Now, the fact of the matter is, Celtic, if they have asked Ange, I'm going to play, let's just play the card, they have asked him. I think they have, Mark, right? Honest take. I think they have asked. Why isn't there a new deal then being signed? Does that tell you he prefers to be in a rolling deal?
Well, that's a really good point, because there is a part of you that thinks that that he prefers to work that way. You know what I mean? He's probably not got limitations, but he also gives you a better bargaining chip when you're getting into pre-season and you're asking for more money for players. You're asking for the next level of next caliber of player. But also, I've got a wee theory on the full thing. If you want to hear it, I've got a wee theory that I think. I know footballing wise, we've had an easy pre-season. There's been no qualifiers, etc. Bhoycie. But our season's going to be getting a wee bit condensed because of the World Cup, and we're going to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
I think his agent would be a good agent to tell him just to sit back. Things are going good just now. The best time to come to the table is when things are going good, but they can also flip. I've got a theory that when the club winds down for the World Cup, I think that's when you might start seeing some action taking place behind the scenes with his
That'd
contract.
Be fair. That's a great point.
I think that's when maybe the club can progress, because there's no transfer activity that time of year, boys. It's probably just a case of the international players releasing them, letting them go, getting the boys in who are going to be staying behind and not going on holiday, training them with the reserve coaches. That can be easily organised. I'm pretty sure the club don't need to stand and watch that happening. But we go to Australia for 3 weeks, boys. I don't know what it says there.
It says, not for you, mate. It's not for you. Don't worry. It just says only 16 likes, troops. Hit it. Hit that like button. There's 150 watching, you bastards.
If you get 20 likes, I'll stop talking. So that's a bit of motivation for everybody. No, but I think that could well be the case, boys. Because do you know something? See, actually, in a business sense, and if you were trying to speak to your manager and the manager's saying to you, I think this guy is very hands-on. I get the impression that the guy hardly sees his wife. I think the guy just goes into his house and has his dinner and just sits and just watches football DVDs and studies this. I think he probably said to the club that this is something I want to talk about, but we'll do this when the time's right. And his agent's probably told him to hang fire because he's want to get the best deal for him. And I think the World Cup's probably the best time. And plus,
it's a good point.
You tell me a better place to unveil him with a 3-year contract than standing in Sydney at the Sydney Cup.
That's good, Mark. That's good.
It's just a wee thought I had, and I've got to keep it to that time because that would be big news in Australia, big news in Scotland, and it would kick off that tournament fucking superbly for Celtic and their fans.
Oh, mate, they have to get on that. That's almost as good as Henrik Larsson in the grey suit, Ange on one side and John Larsson in the middle. No, that's brilliant, mate. That would really, really kick up. That would build a connection as well, which is obviously the main aim of that tournament. And you know, the point of the matter is securing Ange Postecoglou a long-term deal is essential. It is essential business-wise as much as it is footballing-wise. Yes, we will always carry on as a club, but you know, fine well, it can turn into a bit of a, well, we've had to write off that season. It was just about kind of hanging in there because obviously the wheels came off midway through, and I don't think Celtic's ever brought in a long-term manager midway through a season. I don't think it's ever happened. I can't think. Have they brought in someone midway through a season that's been long-term?
No. The other one I can think about has been replacements when Dalglish and Burns came in. Brady was Brady replaced halfway through the season as well. I think he was replaced by Burns in the February.
Burns, Burns, but I suppose that's true. Neil Lennon,
he was long. Neil Lennon, aye, that's right. Because we don't tend to sack Rodgers was the first time we ever lost a manager through a season or lost a manager to go to another team. But in my lifetime, well, I've only ever saw Rodgers and O'Neill that could have went to other clubs. I mean, I don't know if you will remember, but every week we were watching Celtic batting half bids for Leeds on the telly. Oh, Leeds are wanting O'Neill. Remember it was all.
I think O'Neill had told them a yes, and then he changed his mind to a no. Although folk don't. That again.
Folk don't want to hear things like that.
They don't hear that, do they? I think Martin O'Neill batted his eyelids big time at Leeds United, and then had to change your heart. I know it's awkward truths, mate.
England too. I think he left Celtic for the right reasons with his wife, but
Yes.
His wife was in a similar position health-wise when he applied for the England job 2 months later. I'll leave that there.
It's just mad, but it's it's you believe what you want to believe, don't you? I think when it comes to the Postecoglou thing as well, what we learned was not that we spent the money right, Mark, because we didn't spend the money right, but when Brendan Rodgers is breaking into the top 10 managerial transfer fee records, I say that all the time, but when he does break into that top 10 world transfer fees, well, Celtic aren't in that realm for players. No. So for them to be in that realm for a manager suggests good business. Suggests you appointed, firstly, an elite manager, like you would sign an elite player, and suggests you put them on a suitable, fitting contract that kept them interested whilst they were there, and then when they were to leave, it means you got a suitable fee. £9 million for a manager. Now, Graham Potter today, what is it, 4 years later, goes from Brighton to Chelsea, a Premier League to Premier League, remember, not Scotland to Premier League to Premier League for £20 million today. That was his fee, right? His compensation fee. And I think that's why Brighton couldn't reject like Chelsea's overtures. I think there was a clause basically that was met. So it was £20 million, but you're thinking, even now, from Scotland to England, 9 million stands up against 20 pretty nicely.
Oh, aye.
If Ange Postecoglou was to leave for Brighton on a 12-month rolling deal, or let's forget the Brighton thing, let's move on from that. Let's say another club, a Villa, an Arsenal, something like that, would he be more than capable of going? And you were getting what? A year's salary for him, plus maybe £1 million compensation flung in, and Ange going, don't make me dig my heels in here, guys. Now, it's lovely to think. I think it was Red Scotland I was seeing the comments, and welcome aboard the bus. As always, Red Scotland, you're a legend, mate. I mean, he was saying, Ange seems really content. He seems like, he's a decent guy and he wants to be here. Well, folk were saying that in the comments. I'm paraphrasing, Red. But I don't fall for that as much as other people do, right? It's brilliant to play that card when it suits you to stay on a rolling deal. Oh, I don't really do contracts and stuff, mate. I care about football. I'm like, that's just a card to play, right? That's brilliant business, because all you're doing is saying, I'm not looking at the contract situation because the one I've got suits me fine, but I'm dressing it up as I love football. I'm the football guy. We just love football too, so we're all happy with that. Everyone's singing and dancing. Don't give a fuck what anyone says. Up to about 4 or 5 weeks before Brendan Rodgers left, maybe a bit more than that, a couple of months, no one had any doubt that he was here for 10 years. This guy was releasing autobiographies through Celtic channels, the same way Callum McGregor just is about to. Brendan Rodgers released his autobiography. Who's telling me he's leaving for Leicester? No one is. Firstly, you need to remember, these boys in England have big, big, big pockets. Pockets of money that they can offer. And the one thing a manager loves is being able not just to get a big wage, but when the football comes to it, being able to spend money in that transfer market. Oof, £20 million player. And you can have a couple of them, Ange. 20 mil. Oof, I fancy a bit of that.
I mean, it's definitely, Bhoycie, ambition is one thing, right? We've all got ambition, but what we've all got, and it's built into our DNA, is an ambition for hundreds and hundreds of money. I mean, I'm a Celtic supporter, right? And I pay for the privilege. But see, somebody said to me, Mark, that's £5,000 a week. I want you to go support Chelsea. I bought a blue jumper before I left the house. I can assure you that. I mean, and I'm a Celtic fan. I mean, so this guy's came from the other side of the world. Well, for a different planet, some people thought he was for. And I'm very convinced the guy's going to love Celtic. I'm pretty sure of that. But so did Edward. So did George Cadet. So did fucking Mr. Dembele. And I mean, money talks. I mean, no ifs, no buts, no fucking coconuts, mate. It's as simple as that. If Celtic offered, anybody in the Celtic, I mean, look at Kieran Tierney. I mean, I'm pretty sure he get dragged out of where's his again? Motherwell, dragged out of Motherwell, kicking and screaming to £100,000 a week contract. I'm pretty sure he had a wee smile on his face when he was signing that contract. I'm pretty sure of that. It's football's football, mate. Money's money. And one thing I was going to say about when you mentioned Rodgers there, I mean, don't forget, Rodgers had a background team. He had that, is it, what do you call him, Colo Toure. Who was the guy that was fighting with the Motherwell manager, the assistant manager we had? Can't remember. He was good enough. So he had 3 or 4 backroom staff, Rodgers. Now, Postecoglou's only got one guy that I can see as his, and that's Harry Kewell, right? So the rest of the backroom staff at Celtic are kind of Celtic, kind of like mainstays now, like Gavin Stratton and Kennedy, McManus. They're all staying there regardless, right? So the compensation fee goes right down straight away. When all you're going to lose is Ange, who I think would walk into an Arsenal, for talking sake, as you mentioned, and say to the Arsenal backroom team, no, I don't want anybody for there. Just deal with me. When I get here, I'll discuss what coaches I want next year. Just give me what you've got. Give me your reserve team coach as my assistant. And so we need to start tying down all he has.
So let's then talk then about the pitfalls for Celtic out with it just being your manager leaving, if he were to leave, and obviously the easy can leave as whilst on the current terms, i.e. a rolling contract, Mark, because what people forget is, and I do believe Ange has enjoyed the role, I think he's good at it, of being the guy to recommend players, being the guy to tell the board what he thinks a reasonable fee is, being the guy kind of who's sells Celtic to the player. He's Celtic's sort of ambassador, director of football, manager, first team coach. Take that guy out the equation, though. What are you left with? That's the damning. There was a deafening silence there, Matt, and you start going, "Holy shit!" Because you take one guy out. When okay, we've all marvelled at how Ange's juggled and spun all these plates, but holy shit, does that not make you then think, "Fuck"? Wait, if he was
a coach, he's a manager, he's a chief scout, and this is the thing.
The football.
This is the thing, right? He's a head of football as well. This is the thing, right? So, Ange's got his. If Ange was managing in the Greek third division or the Scottish Premier Division, he's got his one way of playing football, but he's only got a marketplace of what he can afford. So, if there isn't a Premiership team watching him, can you imagine the calibre of player? The Jota, for talking sake, if he had a £50 million transfer kitty for somebody in that position, can you imagine what he could do a team with that level? Can you imagine what he could do with Chelsea's money? You know what I mean? He's not a Guardiola, right? The Guardiola is a money man. He builds teams around money. That guy spent about £4 billion in his lifetime.
Aye.
You know what I mean? He's spent my money in my life, mate. That's hard. It's fucking. This is the thing, mate. And see, this is what I love the English arrogance sometimes, because it suits me to a T, Bhoycie. Because see, if they knew how much potential this guy's got, and it's not even potential, and it's not even a secret. If they knew what that guy was capable of, and didn't just think, it's Scotland, there would be big fucking fishes swimming around Celtic sport just now, ready just to pick with him after, because he is a class act. See Juranovic, for talking sake. That was the £2 million, £3 million right back window. If he walks into an EPL team and says, "What's my budget? Oh, we're cutting back. You've only got 25 million." I mean, what's he going to bring in with that money? He will know the level up. He will know. Juranovic will say, "Oh, the level up for him is Boca Juniors right back. I know that, but I've still got £8 million to buy him yet." You know what I'm saying?
So true. This is
why I like their arrogance, mate. They can be as arrogant as they want, because long may it continue, because that's why we kept Callum McGregor. That's why we kept Scott Brown. They just thought they're big fish in a small pond. They couldn't cut it down here. Thank fuck for that.
Absolutely. Well, listen, as I say, I think we've just proven right now on so many different aspects, Matt. Celtic, next move, let it be Australia. I'm all for that during the World Cup, as Mark has suggested. The Sydney Cup, make it the Ange Postecoglou homecoming tour indeed, and have it with Big Ange with that Celtic scarf over his head as he signs a long-term deal at Celtic. And Brighton and Hove Albion, piss off, eh? Anyway, before we go, there's going to be one more thing we'll talk about, and obviously the fixtures. Will they go ahead? Will they not, Matt? Has anyone got any live news on this? We've been blethering shite for just over an hour now. Has there been an
38
announcement of
years.
the fixtures? I'll just quickly check. I'll just quickly check. I mean, I'm going on BBC Sport. It's telling us that the Queen's died. I'm well aware, and thanks to everyone in the comments for reminding me every 2 seconds. We get it. I know Kaiser's want me to be. Kaiser's want me to be more interactive with the comments tonight. I'm sure, Kaiser, you can appreciate. It's not quite been so easy to bring up all the comments tonight. I do have a full-time job, and if my coupon is seen, with any of these comments below my name, I could lose my job. So unfortunately, until you boys start making this my full-time job, which ain't gonna happen anytime soon, I'm afraid. I'll need to be very careful with the comments I bring up on.
Listen, I did see, like mate. I did see this might be something that could be of interest to you. I did see in one of the papers that, as it stands, the fixtures go ahead until the funeral arrangements are made. But my wife just came in for work there. This is a wee kind of sports update for anybody that's watching, especially my dad. I hope my dad's watching, because this might get my dad angry. So the more the bookies are all closed. No Ladbrokes, no Corals, they're all closed. There's no racing on because it's been cancelled for the Queen. Well, she told me that Ladbrokes are expecting the sports fixtures to be cancelled as well.
For 10 days, apparently. Well, Patrick McLaughlin was in the comments early, right at the beginning, and he was poo-pooed for saying, I'm soaked. I went to the bookies to put a line on, was told by the bookie's wife that the bookies are likely to be shut for the next 10 days, no sport. So, Patrick McLaughlin, if you are watching, you've been vindicated, mate, because, or close to being vindicated. He did say, he goes, what do you want me to do about it? He goes, I'm not making it up. He goes, I'm soaked and I've got no line on.
No, but I think tomorrow it's closed, but because of the racing. But a lot of the bookies take their money in and the bet machines and things like that. But if there's no football, and I would need to.
It depends what bookies he was at too, right enough.
The pubs are still open, Bhoycie, so that you'll get folk in betting on the cartoon racing and all that. I'd imagine. I need to ask my missus, but I do know they're all closed tomorrow. Sorry, Dar, if you hear that news coming from me live.
Live breaking news. Oh, just checking the earpiece. That was brilliant, Mark. Breaking news. The bookmakers could be closed tomorrow. We do need an announcement. Atomic Destructor 1 comes in. Good to have you back on, mate. I've not seen your name in ages. SPFL announcement tomorrow about the games. Cove Rangers games already postponed, so I suppose that's a bit of a sign. I tell you what, though, Mark, the reason I'm bringing it up, it's not for us to say what they should and shouldn't do, because they're going to make their own mind up anyway. I can't be asked getting into it, to be honest. And that's not because we shut debate on the bus. I just think there's certain lines I'm not willing to go past. I'm here to talk Celtic, here to talk football. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, I think the fixtures going ahead are unlikely, but it's a huge relief for our rivals. And we've got, I think right now the Storm was perfect. I think Jim Goodwin's got Aberdeen just clicking into gear now. The money he's invested, he's got a goal scorer there. He signed for £500,000, whose name naturally is evading me. What is it? What is his name? It's funny because you can turn it into a joke. Anyway, he's scored a lot of goals already. A £500,000 investment there is a lot of money for Aberdeen to be spending. Jim Goodwin knows one of those guys, Alloa, ex-manager. And he is proven, though, his track record. It's a strong track record he's got, though. He did very well at St Mirren. He stalks high. I like him, mate. Handsome bastard. Speaks well.
Ex-Celtic
youth. Born in 1981. And he's all forgot I could do that mad year of birth thing. And Goodwin, I think, has that Aberdeen team at a point where they're feeling that confidence peaking. Rangers on the ropes right now. It was a perfect storm this weekend, wasn't it? Because we were at home at Livingston, and we all know we'd scalped that David Martindale's team.
That's my part to talk about. No, mate, honestly, I said before, and I'm not going to shy away for this. I said before that COVID saved Gerrard's job. I'm not saying this thing that's happened today will save the Van Bronckhorst's job, but I'm not saying that. I do think eventually he's going to get a bit of a sugarly peg for his jacket, but see a bad result on Saturday for that mob that's coming. See if that game gets called off and what they'll be sitting in Ibrox Stadium with a wee black ties, just buzzing at the fact that we could get this game called off, because I guarantee you if there's one club who want that game called off, no just because of their allegiance to the Queen and the Crown, it's because of their allegiance to winning football matches. We want that game called off. We're buzzing. We're on a crest of a wave. We'll beat them 4-0. They've just lost 4-0 twice in 4 days. I think they want that. And don't forget, this has been mentioned very, very quietly. Now, they hooked their captain at half time yesterday, right? And I know somebody told me on Twitter that it's maybe a knock. But this just stinks of Paul Le Guen. A couple of bad results, argument with the captain. The captain gets hooked at half time. Ex-players, Alan McCoy, etc., who don't criticise the club, coming out criticising every move they make. The goalkeeper needs dropped. Dave King's in the corner. Dave King, me, you spoke about this. I said last week. I said last week. I said if Rangers lose that match, Dave King has been at the golf. He's been sniffing about Rangers. 1872 have been aligned with him for the last wee while now. I said Tuesday afternoon. I said you watch him. And what happened Tuesday morning, Bhoycie? Dave King comes out criticising the board's spending power. The next night, you get Van Bronckhorst opening up a press conference by saying, "You all think we've got millions of money and we've no." Douglas Park, he's been quoted somewhere as wanting to get out of the club. This is all stinking to high heaven. This looks like a Paul Le Guen. This looks like a perfect storm for them. And should they get that game called off at the weekend, I think it'll be good news for only one club, and that's for Rangers. I think Aberdeen want this game to go ahead. Aberdeen, I think we're going to take something off them. I must admit, when I found out it's going to be Aberdeen at Pittodrie, my first thought was John Beaton is going to be a referee. That'll be announced. If that game goes ahead, they'll need to up their game, the SFA. They'll need to bring in somebody to give them a fighting chance. I hope everything goes alright tomorrow, because I want to see Celtic go out on Saturday and put some pressure on them after they play, regardless.
I can't help but feel it's unlikely, Mark. I can't help but
feel it's called off, mate. It's called off.
I think, mate, what is it called? Operation London Bridge or something, mate? I mean, what
London Bridge is falling, mate.
Is that what they've changed? Whatever, man. It's like, it's so strange. But anyway, if London Bridge has fallen, then apparently the rule is the fixtures will fall, and I understand. I mean, there's folks in the comments about, the Champions League will still go ahead. We know that. We're not stupid. They're talking about this weekend in Scotland, which unfortunately this country voted for, whether people like it or not, to remain as part of the UK. There'll be UK rules, and that'll be what has to be followed. I'm not going to get political about it, but anyone thinking Scotland will be able to go, our games go ahead, fuck you, whilst the Queen's lying dead in Scotland is, I don't think paying attention.
Well, Nicola Sturgeon said tonight that we in Scotland loved her. So if that's what Nicola Sturgeon says, then we'll just need to back that, I suppose.
Well, we'll need to. Well, I mean, the thing is, I mean, what can you say? Well, all we can say is the likelihood is the fixtures are going to be off, guys, right? It plays, for me, into their hands. And I think that they will be extremely happy that the fixtures are missing. They're in a bit of disarray, Mark. As you rightfully pointed out, last group we had a bit of fun going. Well, let's play hypothetical here. If that doesn't happen, who do you expect an article from in the paper? Lo and behold, Dave King was in the newspapers. Since then, I mean, I had Clyde one on before it was, interrupted, unfortunately, for the show, I mean. And basically what happened was, I was enjoying it, but basically what happened was someone phoned in and said, he was a Rangers man who basically said, Dave King, he will be holding an AGM, he's going to take over the board. And I thought, that's kind of what we were saying on the bus last week. We were just kind of having a bit of fun with it, really. But also a bit of, it wouldn't surprise you conversation. Right now, I think a break suits them. I think they need to regroup. I think they're on the ropes very much. And had the games been going ahead this weekend, Matt, I actually expected the gap to extend from 5 to either 6 or 8. I'm not saying which one. I'm not convinced, but I definitely think they would have dropped points at Pittodrie. If they've managed to dodge that bullet for now, it does give them a completely different context when they do then rearrange that fixture, because it's always about the moment. The moment in time as well, Mark. You can go into a fixture against any team when you're rocking and rolling. Do you know what I mean? Full of bravado, full of confidence. Or you could go into them at your lowest ebb, and it's a completely different fixture. And a fixture can go from competitive to mammoth. And I actually think Pittodrie was mammoth is a bit extreme, but definitely a hard ask. A very hard ask to go and get 3 points for them this Saturday. Having played the Wednesday, early kick-off the Saturday, I think I'd said the other night, they were the Sunday. I just presumed that because we played the Tuesday, they played the Wednesday Champions League. My bad. Going the Wednesday night away from home to the Saturday noon against an Aberdeen side that looks like they've got the shit together again, I don't think they would have fancied that at all. This fixture break, one thing I will say, it gives us a nice I think it was, Adam Beanie Smith who will permanently be on a yellow card in that group chat, I'll tell you that. But he actually says it's a nice wee break. It's a nice wee break, when you think about it, because it's then Champions League to Champions League fixture. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the worst thing in the world that for this sort of competition. We've seen how well that's helped us in the league campaign so far, Mark. The old 1 game a week thing. We've looked pretty fresh so far. I think for the Champions League, 7 days at it in the training ground, or 5 days, whatever it may be. I don't know. I'm beginning to think, from our point of view, rather than focusing on being able to slag them dropping points at Pittodrie, let's think of giving us the best chance of an away win against Shakhtar in Poland, not in Ukraine, in Poland. I think it might actually play in our hands a wee bit. It's one way to look at it. Always try to be positive.
No, you're right. And the other thing I would combat is that way is I think we've got some players that need game time. I still think guys like Turnbull need a bit more game time, and Haksabanovic and Overgaard. I think they need as many games as they can cram in just now to get up to the level of the rest of the team, like fitness-wise. But other than that, I think Celtic's best football last year came in that condensed period after Christmas. But they also upped their level a wee bit once they get knocked out of Europe. I think the concentration levels just switched to the league. So I think there's positives on both sides. If it doesn't go ahead, it gives the players more rest. I think it's been a frantic start for the season. Even though we've missed out in qualifiers, Celtic have had a lot of important games in a very short space of time. We're in September the 1st. We've played a derby match. We've played Real Madrid. We've been away to Dundee United, away to Ross County twice. We've been to Kilmarnock. We've opened the season against Aberdeen. We've played Hearts. That's big fixtures for Celtic, and we're only in September.
He does not have an auto cue. He does not have an auto cue, by the way. He just went like that. Boom.
Who's
That
this?
was impressive, Mark. That was impressive, mate.
Oh,
you just run off those fixtures like. I was like, I thought you had an auto cue in front of you.
No.
Well,
I've got to impress somebody, boys. It may well be you every now and again.
Oh, you're absolutely right. We'll round up the show there. It has been brilliant. I know the T.N.F is normally the night I give you boys the keys. I think if I'd given the keys over to you boys tonight, the Bhoycie boss may well have been consigned to the scrap heap and banned from YouTube. So I know it's been an eventful day, guys. Look, just go enjoy your evening, whatever it is you're up to. Don't get too embroiled in social media spats or YouTube channel spats about stuff that really is out with your control, my control, Mark's control, anyone's control. Someone's died. We're all still alive. Enjoy your life while you're in it. That's the most important thing. And keep jumping on the bus most nights a week for a wee bit of banter and talking about your favourite. I sounded like Stuart Cosgrove there. Banter. And talking about your favourite football team in the world, Glasgow Celtic. Marc Cairney, thank you for joining me in the T.N.F, mate. Brilliant to banter with you again.
Very welcome, mate. It's always a pleasure.
212 watching live. You know what to do. Hit the like button. Hit the share button. If you want to become a member, you're entitled to do that as well. Here's Chris Sutton.
About me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.
And I forgot to say, remember, Nostalgia tomorrow night, Neil Lennon Season 2. It's going to be Phil McGinley, Liam the Punked Up Warlord, myself, and Jonathan Bhoycie makes his Nostalgia debut alongside his brother Phil and Liam. So don't forget to join us then. I forgot to say that before the end. Good night.